It's a very good evening and thank you for being a part of our network. It's 19:30 Central African Time. It's now common knowledge that South Africa will not miss the international digital migration deadline. Tonight we'll tell you what the next step is in the process for the country. As it is still International Women's Month, we have information on the founder of a mobile phone application called Umeli. The app helps job seekers in South Africa. The Apple Watch was announced, but a reaction to it has been lukewarm throughout the week. We'll also discuss the distribution of child pornography online. This is because police have arrested a man in Grahamstown for running a website that distributes child porn. We are live, so find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za and email. Let's start with your social media and technology news. Now, the Department of Communications says it should be starting the rollout of set-top boxes or decoders that are necessary for the digital migration process. It says this as it has become clear that South Africa will not be meeting the International Telecommunications Union June deadline. This week, the government is also expected to publish the final broadcasting digital migration policy in the Government Gazette.
There are still no set dates for South Africa's switch from analog broadcasting to digital television. But the department's Soli Mukwetle says the distribution of set-top boxes required to view television once the switch has been done will start soon.
It will take a few more months from now. It will take 3 to 6 months. It may not be 6 months, but we have to go back to the manufacturers. There are standards of manufacturing that are South Africa specific, that have to be met, which have been set by government and by the role players here, the key operators, and they are called SANS 862, South African National Standards 862. 862 is just a number of this, which is issued by SABC, the South African Bureau of Standards. So any set-top box that is genuine in South Africa will have a mark of SANS 862, and we are intending to make sure that it also has this tick that says Go Digital, which will be a genuine set-top box.
Digital television is set to offer a clearer, better picture and a possibility of more television channels to be available for free. It is compulsory for every television viewer without a DSTV decoder to have a new set-top box if they want to continue watching TV. Until recently, the Department of Telecommunications was in charge of this process. One analyst feels at this stage the Department of Communications is better suited to carry on with the project.
I think that the Department of Telecoms and Postal Services had previously had responsibility for digital migration and have in-depth expertise and people who've been really working on the project for many years. Several of them are moving over to the Department of Communications, and the intent is that it would be a very cohesive process.
In Africa, there are various countries that are now way ahead of South Africa in this process. They include Mauritius, Tanzania, Kenya, and Namibia. A point of conflict with the decoders is whether they should have controls or not. Controls include blocking countries on South Africa's borders from access to these countries' television signals when digital TV goes live.
That box should not have the ability to operate once it goes out of the borders of South Africa. In other words, once it gets out of the network of transmitters that are in South Africa, it should not be able to operate. So you cannot take it out and export it. We subsidize boxes here and you take them out. The other is that it should not easily be replaced by a flood of cheap products coming onto our market.
The department says 5 million poor television household owners will be subsidized. Distribution will be prioritized in areas around the borders of the country.
Our signals may interfere with those of the neighboring countries, or the signals originating from the neighboring countries may interfere with ours. But as for the rest of the country, we may take quite a while.
Government says the migration will not negatively impact on the content of free-to-air television broadcasters.
The police say they have nabbed the criminals that mugged the SABC news crew a few days ago, thanks partly to the video uploaded by the SABC on YouTube, which shows the mugging on camera. The two YouTube videos have over 2 million views combined. After SABC contributing editor Vuyo Mvogo and 3 other colleagues were mugged off their mobile phones, a laptop and money a few days ago, the SABC YouTube videos showing the incident have been trending all over the world.
It has over 1.5 million views. There's a second video of the interview in the studios after the incident took place with Mvogo, and that is sitting at 500,000 at the moment. It's just doing incredibly well, and the interest has been huge.
The video has been shared by publications like Guardian and The Independent in the United Kingdom, as well as the Huffington Post and The Global Grind in America. It shows the power of social media in the distribution of news and to help fight crime, as the police say they have caught the criminals. Social media is a platform that Wits University's Ashfaq Karim feels journalists need to embrace.
It's important for them to realize that now they need to start thinking about which content adds value and which content can sort of tell the story in a more precise way, and that's the type of content that they as journalists need to try to produce.
All right, we have to interrupt regular programming as we cross to Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking about the passing of Minister Collins Chabane.
Minister Collins Chabane was a talented minister, completely dedicated to the task of achieving the objectives of our revolution. He has contributed greatly to the progress that we have made in this country. And so our country is truly sad to have lost a person of his stature, his capability and his talent and his determination. We've just met the family and passed our condolences. I'm able to say that our cabinet colleagues have been here the whole day supporting the family. They even went to the site of the accident with Mrs. Chabane and other family members to see for themselves where the accident happened. And we were also there, my colleagues in cabinet, to go to the mortuary. It is a rather sad moment for all of us, but we are here to support the family and to stand by them. And the President has also already passed his condolences. We've discussed with the family about the arrangements that will need to be made with regard to a memorial service, which will be announced shortly, as well as the funeral. We await the President to declare the date, but it will be an official funeral. We're also going to be able to visit the families of the protectors. The ministers and myself will be taking time tomorrow to go and visit the families of the 2 protectors who also died sadly in the accident. All 3 of them died as they returned from a funeral of one of members of the ANC, Chief Umeli, who had also made a contribution in our struggle. And so they died in the course of performing their official duties. And today we dip our heads to the contribution that has been made, not only by the minister, but also the 2 protectors. So we are truly saddened, but we will be here and to support the family throughout. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. That's Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa outside the house of late Minister Collins Chabane. Now, it's still International Women's Month, and tonight we go to Kenya to meet the founder of South Africa's mobile phone application called Umeli. Dr. Shiko Kitao was doing her PhD in Cape Town when she helped found the app. Umeli matches the skills of South Africans with their skills. Here's Dr. Kitao's story.
You will need to be in her shoes and walk 18 years back to understand her journey. A journey that even she did not understand then where it would lead, on the doorstep of life-changing innovations in Africa.
I first saw a computer in Form 3 in my library. It was the only computer that we had. But everybody was saying, oh, there's a computer in the library. We didn't know what a computer is. We just know there was a computer in the library, and there's only one teacher who used to know about it.
That sole computer may not have fascinated her. Unlike many girls her age, she found herself drawn to mathematics. As fate would have it, she got a scholarship to study at a private Christian university in Kenya, offering just 3 courses. There was no mathematics, but there was computer science.
I looked at the computer science curriculum, and it was like 70% maths. That was like a decision so easy for me to make.
And there began her love for the computer and indeed technology. Her journey then led her southwards to the University of Cape Town for graduate studies. Having grown up in poverty, Dr. Getau felt that her studies would amount to naught if she did not assist her people. So, in 2008, for her PhD research, she turned to Kalecha in Cape Town. Enrolling 45 women, she sought to understand how poor women in urban areas use their mobile phones. She trained them on basic internet use, showing them how to search for work opportunities online. For her, the defining moment came when a lady in the township found a job that she needed to apply for.
We typed the whole CV on her mobile phone, on a small, QWERTY Nokia phone.
And so Umeli was born. Umeli is a Nguni word for mediator. It is a mobile jobs and community portal currently for use by young people based in South Africa to seek job opportunities in the country.
It connects people to opportunities. It's not about connecting people to just jobs. It's hope. And sometimes people need just hope. Because sometimes when you search and you see, I have these skills and I can actually apply for this job, you might not even get those jobs, but it will make you think, I can actually apply for this job, and that is hope. And currently Umeli is being run by the University of Cape Town, and it with our previous partner, has grown to 1.2 million people.
At 29, she earned her PhD and returned to Kenya. She worked for Google Africa and helped set up the iHub Research and the User Experience Lab, the UX Lab, also for the iHub. Riding on the success of Umeli and determined to change the situation at home, she joined an international development organization. There, she set up Kibarua Now, a web portal that connects employers with casual laborers. Kibarua is Swahili for casual labor. Dr. Nyaga is already on her next journey. She now works for the African Development Bank, where she is leading technology innovations for inclusive growth initiative. Her rise up the career ladder has not spared her the stereotypes.
I've had times when, after that, when people just write to me, "Dear Mr. Gitao," and because they think it's a guy on the other side of the email, because they don't think girls can actually think or do things like this.
While maths was her first love, she has opted to stay with technology.
It levels the playing ground. It makes a kid like me, who grew up in a slum in Kenya, be able to sit on the same table with kids who went to Stanford, to be able to work for Google.
18 years since she first set her eyes on a computer, her world, and indeed Africa, is a better place. Sarah Kimani, SABC Network, Kenya.
Apple is facing a major challenge. Before the sale of their first wearable watches, fakes are already in the market. But will this influence Apple's share in the market?
The difference. One is a genuine Apple Watch and the other a fake. As of January, the Apple Watch replicas have been selling online before the launch of the real one. This was even before the reveal of the actual Apple Watch will be and look like. Apple announced its plans to release its smartwatch last September, and finally in the last week we had a chance to see it. This is Apple's first wearable device, which has been a big discussion topic all over the world, especially in China.
I'll buy it. I think it's cool. This is Apple's first wearable device. I think it will be very popular. At the moment, many wearable devices on the market do not have heart rate monitors or a way to tell time.
Apple plans to sell the watch in its major markets on the 24th of April. One of the main functions that the customers would love is making phone calls on it. An analyst points out that the screen size is not ideal for that.
I'm still not sold on the idea of making phone calls with it, talking to my watch. As much as I love the concept of not having to take out my phone all the time because I get notifications on my wrist, that's great.
The real Apple Watch starts at about 3,400 rands, and the high-end 18-karat gold watch is about 1.5 million rands. If you can't afford the real deal, then a fake one is already available online for 297 rands. But the question is, can the fake sync with the real Apple iPhone?
It's SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. We appreciate your feedback. After the break, we'll chat about laws around downloading child pornography online.
Zoom into Africa. This is Burundi. The president is Mr. Pierre Nkurunziza. Burundi got independent from Belgium on 1st July in 1962. The population is more than 8 million people. One of Burundi's major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is Burundi franc.
It's SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. Welcome back. Now, a man in Grahamstown has been charged with making and distributing child pornography online. He's also wanted overseas for similar charges.
A man was arrested in Grahamstown this past week in a joint task force between local law enforcement and the Federal Bureau of Investigations in connection to child pornography. An unidentified man allegedly supplied Europe, Canada, and the United States with online child pornography for at least the past 6 years. Law enforcement had a hard time connecting him to the crime, thus the last 6-year stint. The 53-year-old man is accused of operating a website and being a sole administrator that provided the content. His name has not yet been released because of the nature of his crime and also to protect the victims. The man is subject to extradition to the United States should he be found guilty of the allegations, so he can be tried there for his crimes. The arrest happens as the Film and Publications Board has drafted an online policy.
We have realized the fact that the lack of a framework has created a whole lot of challenges. Amongst others is the irresponsible use by the public of new media and social networking sites. So in this case, we want to work with industry, we want to work with stakeholders to ensure responsible use of these media platforms. And where these platforms are used for the commission of offenses against children, we want these perpetrators identified and brought to book.
This means that South Africans who are also viewing child pornography can be brought to the book as well.
Because of that case in Grahamstown, our discussion tonight is on child pornography online. And joining us from Durban is Joan van Niekerk from the International Society for the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network, Joan. Now, Joan, could you just tell us how the internet facilitates the distribution of child pornography?
Well, most people use the internet in their own home or in a private space. And so their activities go undetected unless the sites that they are using are monitored in some way or some other person comes across it accidentally and reports it. We also have quite a lot of pornography, child pornography and adult pornography, that's transmitted from phone to phone. And smartphones have enabled access to child pornography. They've enabled the making of child pornography, the exchange of child pornography between adults and children, between children and between adult and adult. So the advances in technology have made access to child pornography very much easier.
And who would be distributing these visuals? Is there a type of person?
Well, many people, and there are many motivations. Sometimes the motivation is because I myself have a sexual interest in children. It could also be an economic motivation. I can make a lot of money out of images of children being abused. And sometimes it is done without knowing really how serious what one is doing is actually. So you often find children who will take photographs of themselves or photographs of other children in a compromised position, in a sexual position. They will share that image with someone else. They don't really realize how serious the distribution of child pornography is.
Let's actually talk about that briefly, Joan. Yeah, I'm saying let's talk about that briefly, because there have been cases of children who filmed other children having sex in high schools, for example. Can children be charged with distributing child pornography as well?
Most definitely. If the child has criminal capacity and they're between the ages of 10 and 14, or if they're over the age of 14 and they are then assumed to have criminal capacity, they can most certainly be charged. However, in this country we have a different piece of legislation that deals with children in conflict with the law. And so often when children commit these crimes, the prosecutor, the justice person in the child justice court will make a decision as to how best to manage this. Should the child go into a program that is educational, that prevents the child from doing this again, or should the child go through a trial process and be sentenced almost like an adult? So we do have many children who are in actual fact doing this. We do believe that many children don't realize the wrongfulness of this behavior, and we believe where this is really true, the child should be dealt with in a way that is child-friendly rather than just punitive. But certainly, yes, children are using their cell phones or misusing their cell phones.
We live in a selfie generation as well, and a lot of children would be... Yeah, and a lot of people would be taking photos of themselves, adults and children naked. But the implications of children under the age of 16 taking nudes of themselves and then posting them in social media, what happens there? Is that also viewed as child pornography?
That would be viewed as child pornography if it's a sexually compromising position and it's children under the age of 18. Although in this country the age of consent to sex is 16, involvement or exposure to children under the age of 18 to pornography of any kind is not allowed. So children under the age of 18 may not purchase even adult pornography. And adults may not show children under the age of 18 adult or child pornography, or use children under the age of 18 to make pornography. So this is one instance in which there's an extra 2 years of protection, because the implications of getting involved in the making of what are really child abuse images are very serious. Once these images are out on the internet, you've totally lost control of where they land up, who uses them, and how they are used.
We're talking about making it, but what about downloading it? Sitting in your home and downloading child pornography, is that illegal as well?
Totally illegal. Our Criminal Law Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Act criminalizes that as well. And I think the judiciary is becoming more and more aware of the seriousness of the situation with child abuse images, or child pornography as it's commonly termed. And we have seen of late this being taken a lot more seriously by our criminal justice system. What we do need, though, is police who are well trained at the point at which children begin to disclose sexual abuse to also think, well, could this child have been seduced through the use of child pornography? Because we see child pornography being used in order to seduce children. And even sometimes adult pornography. So sometimes a lot of opportunities to police child pornography are lost because the child makes a report. It's a couple of days later before it goes through to a specialized child protection unit, or people don't think there could be child pornography involved here. And then, of course, whoever has exposed the child to this or who has made child pornography has the opportunity to get rid of it in some way.
What about parents who, like a child could be running from the bathroom, for example, in the nude, and it could be a moment in the house and you decide to take a photo of that? Is that illegal? And sharing that photo, let's say, with other family members, would that be seen as distribution of child pornography as well? Let's say a 3-year-old, for example.
No, that would not be seen as child pornography, but one must be very careful as to where one posts those images, because there are people with a sexual interest in children, men and women, who might find those images some kind of sexual turn-on. And so one has to be very careful that that kind of family photograph is held within a private family network, as it were. And that one must be very hesitant, or should be very hesitant, to post these kinds of photographs on a public website. I've worked for much of my life in the child protection field, and certainly I've come across offenders who are actually turned on by images that to the ordinary person would seem to be just simply normal pictures of children unclothed.
John van Niekerk from the International Society for the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect. Thank you very much for joining us and being a part of our network tonight. All right, let's see what some people have been sharing in social media. Discussions in social media have been about the passing of Government Minister Collins Chabane. Many have been sending condolences. Others have been trying to make sense of the car crash. Some South Africans have been continuing with their support of the national cricket team in the World Cup. They've still been hashtagging Protea Fire. Some have been celebrating with the nominees of the South African Music Awards. These were announced a few days ago. Musicians have been campaigning for votes online. And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. It's News Network at sabc.co.za and email. We leave you with images of a high-tech paint that stops people from urinating in public. From me and the rest of the team, have a good one.
One thing really upsets locals: men urinating in the streets and alleys of this famous district of Hamburg.
It's really getting on my nerves. It's really getting on my nerves.